All right, welcome into the High Noon Rant. I am Pugs Moran. We do this every Monday through Friday. Where's the chat room? Let me get the chat room up and running. Monday through Friday, we do this 12 p.m., 12-ish, 12 noon-ish, somewhere in there. Every day, Monday through Friday. We've been doing this for 3 years now. It is a nonstop stream of consciousness rant on all the days, events, headlines, hot topics, current events, whatever it is that's happening today. I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to nutshell it for you, if you will. I'm going to tell you what the headline is. I'm going to tell you what people are saying. I'm going to give you my little hot take. Then we move on. It's that easy. Why am I not seeing the chat room? There we go. There's finally somebody. I see Adam. I see there's a whole bunch of people in there. I'm just not seeing them for some reason. There we go. We got Jeff. We got Adam. We got Byron. There. Okay, it's filling in. I can calm down. It's a little distracted. The show is designed to basically get you all prepped up on everything that you need to know about today, without, and this is where the show's a little bit different, without any kind of a political filter. I don't care if you're a crazy right-wing freak. I don't care if you're a weirdo far left libtard. Is that can we still say that? Can we say libtard? I guess we can, because we're about freedom here. We're the 70% of America that I believe residing in the middle are fed up with all of this. We just want to talk and make fun of stuff. Oh, the dog is getting engaged. Yeah, people, there's a situation. I might have to let the dog out. That's okay. If it happens, we'll be interrupted for a second, but only for a second. What are you doing? She's looking out her window here. I'm going to show you what she's doing. Just so you. Hold on. Can you see her? There she is. She sees something. Actually, she sees somebody coming over here. There's that, and there she goes. Okay, hold on, guys. We're gonna have to take a quick break. Enjoy that camera. Hold on a second here. Give me a second. Gotta fix the camera now. Ugh. So far, I'll tell you, we didn't even get the show going. See those? I think she should stay in here. Oh no, I think we're gonna have a screwy camera day. Oh, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. All right, lay down, girl. Come on, lay down. You're distracting us. The show itself plays out in 4 quarters. That's how I present it to you. 4 quarters, 4 different segments, really. We call them quarters because football, we understand that. First quarter, antecedently on this day. That's where I run through all the events that have, caught my eye. Things that have occurred. It's this day in history. We know what that is. This day in history. You've heard it before. I just call it something different. Antecedently on this day is quarter 1. Quarter 2, birthdays. We know what that is. Hey, it's their birthday. Cool. We talk about them a little bit. We move on to quarter 3, which is deads. Deads are the people who've died on this day. We like to take a look at their lives and decide whether they went to heaven or hell. Okay, them's the rules. Quarter 4 is, of course, the hot topics, current events, and all that other stuff. That's the bulk of the show, quarter 4. The dog is going to drive me nuts because the dog wants to go out. Because there's action. There's action happening on her property, and she needs to investigate. And I don't know if I should just let her go investigate or if I should ignore her. Seriously, though, you should see her. She's just going to stare. It's irritating. Here, she's at the door. She's just going to stare at the door with her stupid tail going. I know that I should be able to tune that out fairly easily, but it just is so irritating to know, just out of my peripheral vision, yeah, I'm talking about you. Yeah, get in the corner. Look in the corner. That's CeeLo. She's what's known as a hooly booly. She is a Catahoula and a Bulldog mixed. And she's a handful. And right now, she is just going to stare at that door until I let her out. And I'm not going to let her out. Okay. There you go. That's enough dog. Yeah. Yeah, no, taking the camera off you. You are no longer the center of attention. All right, so I'm going to do my best to tune that out because every so often she's going to go, like, come on, man. You know, the good thing about this dog is she's not a barker. Like, she's not like, she doesn't bark at like nonsense. So she's not a loud dog. That's fair to say. She's not loud. Did you hear that? There she goes, and now she's laying down. She's going to wait this one out. 2 hours at least, dog. You got at least 2 hours. Oh, my goodness. All right. We should probably get started. 4 quarters, I explained that. Also, I should tell you, it is Pledge Week around here, around these parts. Pledge Week. That's right. This show runs on your gratuities. This show needs to raise $300 this week. It needs to make $300 at 5 shows, $300 in 10 hours. That's not that crazy. It was $50 a day. Well, unfortunately, we didn't receive 50 in tips yesterday. That's okay. We're behind the 8 ball. We've been here before. I still have optimism. It's only Tuesday. You want to look at a broken man? Catch me in the last hour of Thursday's show. Then you'll see a man on the verge of breaking down. If that's what you're into, right now, we're staying optimistic. We've got an executive producer for today's show. That's right. We award the title of executive producer every day to somebody who is the biggest tipper of the previous day's show. That honor today goes to Jennifer. And I never know, like, I always want to call Jennifer's Jen, but I understand that there are some Jennifers out there who prefer to be Jennifers. So I didn't want to presume. So we're going to go with Jennifer S. Thank you so much, our executive producer today. She was yesterday's big tipper. So thank you so much. We appreciate that. If you want to contribute and help us get across the finish line by end of show Friday, that is, again, trying to raise $300 this week by end of show Friday. Honestly, if this show can't raise that, I don't. Point is this. Help us. If you want, I'll leave that up. If you like dropping a little something, Cash App and Venmo. Those are the way we do it. All right. What do you say we get started here? It is the High Noon Rant. I am Pugs Moran. It is the 4th day of June, year of our Lord, 2024. How did I say it? I said it last night. It is the now. I don't know. I had a very strange way of saying the date. The show is a stream of consciousness, which you've probably already gathered. What is a stream of consciousness? It's I don't stop, I don't break, I don't talk to anybody. I sometimes will, check out the chat room. But mostly it's just me doing free thoughts on all the day's events. So if you're new, and that's a problem, we don't have a lot of new people. Loyalty is not an issue around here. We have got incredible loyalty. Oh my God. The people we got are the people I want. They are the core that you can build an empire on. Unfortunately, we don't have a whole lot of people with construction skills because the empire has not been built. Doesn't change the fact that we've got the core. We've got the core of loyalty. But if you're new, the stream of consciousness is how we do the show. So sometimes, I'll veer off into things that have nothing to do with where we started, kind of like what I'm doing now. Peter says, I like sugar tits. I don't know. What is it? Jen says, I'm whatever you want to call me. Really, I thought I was sugar tits. Yeah. Okay. She was. That's right, Jen. You're sugar tits. There you go. Got a lot of stuff to get into today. We're going to talk a lot about gender. We're going to talk a lot about men versus women today. Not in the typical way you expect it among talk show hosts trying to garner a heavy 25-54 male dominant audience. Nah, we're going to talk to it how it pertains to sports and how we view sports and our expectations. We'll get into that. Got a whole bunch of stuff we'll get into. But first, let's get started. As I said, it is the 4th day of June, the 156th day, only because of leap year. Leap year made it 156. It would be 155, but it's 156. So if you're doing the math, 210 more days until New Year's Eve. So get those New Year's Eve plans started. Let's see here. Quarter 1. Let's get this day in history. Antecedently on this day, we like to call it. Antecedently on this day. Antecedently on this day in the year 1783, the Montgolfier. I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing that about 70% correctly. It's a French name. Mont, M-O-N-T, golf, Golf, Montgolfier. Oh, Monsieur Montgolfier. I don't know. Anyway, they're brothers. And guess what they did on this day? They publicly demonstrated their flying machine. That's right. What do we think? What do they think? Wilbur and Orville had the market cornered on brothers inventing flying machines? Now, these dudes did the balloon. These guys were like the ballooner guys. 1783. Did you go up in a balloon in 1783? Good, no. We're still burning people for being witches. I ain't going up in a balloon. I don't know what kind of devil craft that is. Antecedently on this day in 1896, Henry Ford completes the Ford quadricycle. Congratulations. Look at that. Today's the day of inventions. The quadricycle is the very first Henry Ford automobile. Antecedently on this day in 1919, women's rights. That's the subheading here. Women's rights. The U.S. Congress approves the 19th Amendment to the United States Constitution, which guarantees suffrage to women and sends it to the U.S. states for ratification. Suffrage. It's a weird word. Just means vote. Just means rights. Just means suffrage. Never heard the word used. I mean, suffrage. You know what's weird about this? Okay, so this was in 1919, the 19th Amendment. Look at that. If you're into numerology, how creepy. 1919, the 19th Amendment to the United States Constitution basically says that women should be allowed to vote. You know how late in the game that is here in America? You know how late? I mean, there were already empresses who like dominated the known world at this point in history. There were multiple powerful queens of England and Spain and all. And in 1919, we went, yeah, we should maybe let some of them vote. Antecedently on this day in 1939, the MS St. Louis. This is, you know, the other day we talked about, it was the anniversary of the Tulsa race riots. We talked about how, look, America isn't evil. I think humanity has a penchant for evil deeds, but, you know, America as a concept is the exact opposite of evil. America as a concept, as brought forth by our founding fathers, I'm going to principally use Adams and Jefferson as like the two that I lean on the most. But the United States was a vision, a pushback against the inherent evil that humanity often falls victim to. We tend to give a human power, and you know, there's a good chance that they're going to use it for evil. America represents a barricade against that, a lesson, if you will. You don't have to give in to your more primal and tribal needs, desires, instincts, whatever. Primitive human desire is to, you know, me first. The idea of America is different than that. It's we first. It's we the people. But we've done some shitty things. The Tulsa race riots. That in itself is a really shitty thing, but that's not an American thing. That's just things that people in that geographic region got into in that particular point in time. They were bad people. That's not America, but it is a part of our history. And so when I pushed back the other day, I was talking about how I never learned about the Tulsa riots in high school or in elementary school history. And I went to American public schools for the most part. I had some private school. I had some Catholic private school. But for the most part, my high school was a public school. Never learned about that stuff until I was older. And I understand why. You know, you can derisively refer to it now through the lens of history as whitewashing. But I mean, I understand why you'd leave that out. It's dark shit. Come on, we're trying to raise good citizens. So I get it. I don't believe that leaving it out, the whitewashing of history and certain events in America's history, I don't believe that that's necessarily because white people don't want to claim these things or want to make them be erased from history. I just think it's convenient. I think people don't want to think about bad stuff. So, although I think we should have a better rounded view of some of the acts that this nation is engaged in when educating our young citizens to be, I don't think that, we're necessarily evil or the intent was evil. I just think the intent was, we're just simple human beings. And, let's leave that out. It's a little too dark. All right. So let's change that, though. Let's start teaching these things. Let's start making sure that citizens know, young to be citizens, understand that, hey, we're America. Sometimes we screwed up. You got to be quiet, dog. You know what? Actually, I'm going to let her out. I'm going to let her out. So give me a break here. I'm going to take 1 second and I'll come back and I'll get into the next thing that I want to talk to you about from American history that I don't know that we really know all that much about. We'll be right back. All right. I apologize. Now, where is the. Huh. Seem to be missing the remote. Hold on. Be right back again. Holy. All right. Sorry about that. We'll be. Oh. All right. So back to the conversation at hand. Peter in the chat room says, well, hold on a second. We're talking about. Sorry, I'm going to get everything right. Everything is not right. Bum, 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 bum. All right, here you go. So Barney says, I didn't learn about the Tulsa riots, which began this week. They were going on this week, history wise. I think yesterday, or maybe it was Friday. I don't know. Barney says, I didn't learn about the Tulsa riots, and I had a specific until I had a specific. Oh, and I had specific Oklahoma history class. Yeah, nobody did. They were bummer stories, man. I mean, all the stories that we were brainwashed with, and we are. It's what it is. I mean, I don't mean it to take on such a negative connotation, but brainwashing. We were primed up. We were educated. Say the pledge and America, red, white, and blue, and all the things that we're supposed to be about. We brainwashing kids with the best of intentions to create these good citizens who don't fall prey to these ugly human instincts to be selfish and all that stuff. Peter says we had a very whitewashed view of Texas history as well when I grew up. We didn't know. I mean, again, I hate to use words like whitewashed because they're used by hysterical people to condemn what I don't think is a necessarily malicious thing. Yes, there's a bit. It's very heady to talk about. But anyway, so the Tulsa race riots. We didn't learn about them in school. And we also didn't learn about this. This happened on this day in 1939, the MS St. Louis. Do we know about the MS St. Louis? Because we like to take this sort of reductive view of World War II and who we were and how we got involved in it. And we sort of conflate the two wars because it was two separate wars. It was a war against the Japanese in the Pacific, and it was a war against Hitler in Europe. They were two wars, two fronts, two battles, two different reasons for us to be involved. If the Japanese hadn't attacked us at Pearl Harbor, we wouldn't have been drawn into the war in Asia. We weren't in. We were resisting. The United States of America didn't want any piece of whatever the hell was going on with Hitler. Churchill was begging us. We waited to the very last minute. It's very complicated. The reasons are many, and it's an important, nuanced conversation that should be had by much wiser people than me. But the point is this: World War II wasn't as cut and dry as we all like to think. We found out that Hitler was being mean to the Jews, and we immediately said, that's enough. That's not true at all. We knew about what was going on with Hitler and the persecution of Jews for a long time. And we were just like, we don't want any piece of that. Here's a good example of it. On this day in 1939, the MS St. Louis, a ship carrying 963 German Jewish refugees, is denied permission to land in Florida in the United States after already being turned away from Cuba. Forced to return to Europe, more than 200 of its passengers would later die in Nazi concentration camps. This was 1939. This was a boatload of Jewish people from Germany who had escaped the camps, escaped being sent to the camps, begging for the American dream, what America is supposed to stand for. And we turned them away. We turned them away for political reasons that were probably very important in the moment. Well, we've got an election in the next 9 months here in 1939. People here don't really view this situation through the lens of history. The lens of history tells us that was a fucked up thing that we did to people. Sent them back to Nazi Germany. We knew what was going on over there. We sent them back. Antecedently on this day in 1939. Antecedently on this day in 1940, during World War II, the Dunkirk evacuation ends. The British forces complete evacuations of some 338,000 troops from Dunkirk in France. This to rally the morale of the country. Winston Churchill delivers his famous "We shall fight on the beaches" speech. You know that one? That's a pretty good one. That's That's I don't know verbatim, but it's "We shall fight them in the air, we shall fight them in the sea, we shall fight them." It was pretty good. It's a pretty good speech from Churchill. "We shall fight them on the beaches, we shall fight them in the..." Antecedently on this day in 1977, JVC introduces the VHS videotape. They did this at the Consumer Electronics Show. It will eventually prevail against Sony's rival, the Betamax system, in a format war to become the predominant home video medium. That's right, and they would dominate home video for a good 20 years. And then home video would completely go away, being replaced by the DVD. It was a big war. It was this is the porn war. This is a war that was determined by one sleazy dude in a leisure suit in some skanky modeling office on Sunset Boulevard. And I shit you not. The Sony Betamax was a superior product. It was supposed to be the better of the two. JVC, they had the VHS. That was a big clunky one, a little bit bigger, a little bit video. Can you remember what video cassettes looked like? The Betamax was smaller, a lot easier to handle, easier to transport, didn't need as big of a machine. It was superior in every way. The sound was better. But here's what happened. Home video. The home video market was exploding. And one of the reasons that it was exploding, and this is the days before Blockbuster. This was when mom and pop decided to open up, the corner video store so that you can get your latest copy of Jaws 3D when it comes out in 1984. So that was a very big mom and pop economy here in America in the 1980s. It was steamrolled by Blockbuster and Hollywood Video and the like, but for a good 10 years, it was a vibrant, thriving economy. And all of these mom and pop places had porno rooms, little curtains in the back or little rooms, porno rooms. They were big. They were in the middle of a neighborhood. Nobody complained because social media wasn't a thing. But if social media was a thing, there was a video store with a porno room within 100 yards of a school. Yeah, that was normal in the 80s. We talked about this yesterday. The 80s, there were no rules. In the 1980s, as we talked about yesterday, they used to have to remind parents that they had kids and that they should probably go looking for them at 10 o'clock at night. It's 10 o'clock in America. Do you know where your kids are? That was the 80s. Of course, we had porn rooms everywhere. Nobody said anything about it. Why? Because we were civilized. You saw your gym coach coming out of the porno room. You didn't say anything about it. Anyway, VHS was going to be the determining factor. People, or VHS versus Betamax, the determining factor was going to be what kind of machines people bought. So if people went out and bought, porn went VHS. Porn made the decision that we're going to produce all of our porn on VHS. So if you wanted porn and you wanted to still be able to go to the local video store and rent your porn, if you wanted porn, you were going to have a VHS player. And that is how VHS won. The porn war. Sex. It always comes down to sex, man. Everything. Sex and money. And before and after money being equal, sex. It always comes down to sex. On this day, antecedently in 1989, the Tiananmen Square protests and massacres are suppressed in Beijing by the People's Liberation Army with between 214 and 10,000 dead. That's a fascist regime for you. That's news in a fascist regime. We killed some people today. How many did you kill? Between 241 or maybe 10,000. That's it. That's the level of information you get. So either 200 people died or 10,000 died, depending on the source. Antecedently on this day in 1998, Terry Nichols is sentenced to life in prison for his role in the Oklahoma City bombing. Terry Nichols, ladies and gentlemen, he's the lesser known of the Terry Nichols, Timothy McVeigh, Kusum Tusum. But I'll tell you, here's the thing. Here's something we should have known. There's always one of these situations. Anytime you see like a man in his 50s hanging out with a man in his early 20s and they're like friends, you know that man in the 50s is going to get that man in his early 20s to do something highly illegal. just how it works. That's what Terry Nichols was. Terry Nichols was the old guy hanging out with Timothy McVeigh, who was, age inappropriate to be hanging out with. What is he, your friend of your son's? I mean, this is weird. Yeah, it always happens. Timothy McVeigh, the Oklahoma City bomber. Of course, Terry Nichols. We're going to call him the brains, I guess, because he convinced some 20-year-old dope to go do something stupid by filling his head with dumb shit that only a 50-year-old would know how to appeal to a 20-year-old dope. Moving on, it was on this day in 1998. Terry Nichols was we sentenced, right? Sentenced to life in prison. Yeah, there we go. Okay, here we go. Moving on. Quarter two. They say it's their birthday. They say it's their birthday. Born on this day in 1928, the dirtiest woman ever. The dirtiest woman ever. Born in 1928 too. So she saw some stuff. Dirtiest woman ever allowed on American Airwaves. Dirtiest. Absolute. Filthy. Said what you think Howard Stern said some things? Oh, please get out of here. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Ruth Westheimer. Dr. Ruth Westheimer. Born on this date in 1928. A couple of things. She was a doctor. She was discovered. Who was she discovered by? Was she discovered by Walter Sabo? I think she was. She was here's the story. Here's how I think it went. She was a teacher, a human sexuality professor at like NYU or Columbia University or something. And some radio consultant's daughter had her as a teacher. And just talked about how amazing this teacher was and how fun she was and how interesting. And I think it was Walter Sabo. And I think it was he who then approached her and said, let's make you a star. Dr. Ruth Westheimer came on the air in the 1980s, usually late night on a Sunday night, and she did a sex show. And it was because we had never heard a real clinical sex show before. I mean, it was the first time I heard words like clitoris. First time I heard, real description. I was probably a teenager listening to this stuff. And yeah, at first you're like, ooh, they're talking about dirty stuff. But then you're like, holy shit, she's really good. She's really interesting and she's really likable. And here was her magic sauce. Here was the magic sauce. Here is why Dr. Ruth Westheimer was allowed to talk about blowjobs on AM radio at 10 o'clock on a Sunday. Because she was unfuckable. Yeah, that's the secret sauce. You think I'm kidding? I'm not. Oh, Pugs is being funny. No, I'm not. If she had been a vampy woman doing that on late night radio with a breathy voice and all of that, there would have been outrage. It would have been called porno. Because it was coming from a woman who wasn't seen as a sexual being. Dr. Ruth Westheimer wasn't anyone that dudes were going, oh, slow down, Dr. Ruth, talk, be more descriptive. Nobody was doing that. She wasn't seen as a sexual being. She was older. She was like in her 60s at the time. She had broken English. She had this German accent, it was highly listenable because it was so interesting. She was great. I got to meet her once, and she was everything. They always say, you don't want to meet Superman without his cape. That means like you never want to meet somebody who's a celebrity who you really look up to in real life. You never want to sit next to him on an airplane because they all turn out to be assholes. You never want to see Superman without his cape. Dr. Ruth, she wore her cape. Dr. Ruth was awesome. She alive or dead? She's alive, damn it. Still, good for her. Born on this day in 1928. Born on this day in 1936, Bruce Dern. He's a good actor. I don't know. I can't name one thing that he's been in. He's been in a bunch of things. I've seen him in a million things, but Bruce Dern, there you go. Happy birthday, Bruce Dern. Born on this day in 1936. Born on this day in 1944, Michelle Phillips of the Mamas and the Papas. She was like some young runaway chick, I think. And I don't know exactly what her story was, but she was like a really hot teenage girl. And like a 30-something-year-old John Phillips of like a folky group discovered her or something. I don't know. And then they got married. And who did they have? Did they have Mackenzie Phillips? No, Mackenzie Phillips was with the wife before Michelle Phillips. China Phillips, I think. Is that it? Probably. Hold on. I think I may have to get the dog. Hold on. I may have to get the dog. There are people coming in and out of the house doing work. Hold on. Hold on. We may have to take another quick break. Be right back. We do apologize. Having some severe dog problems today. We've got action. The dog is very much on alert. It's also got some stomach issues going on. She's by stomach issues, I mean when she's laying there silently, you're hearing like inside her stomach. And I'm like, oh geez, that means an extra walk. Okay. What were we talking about? Oh, birthdays. Michelle Phillips, Mama's and the Papas. John Phillips hooked up with her. She was young. She was really cute. I could see why they added her to the band. The band wasn't cute, and then they added her, and suddenly they're like the cutest band ever. China Phillips, right? From Wilson Phillips. Remember her? Yeah, that's her daughter. There you go. I knew I'd get there. I had to work it through. Born on this day in 1971, Noah Wiley. That dude was big for like 18 months in the late 90s. Whatever happened to Noah Wiley? Is he still doing ER? Is ER still on? You know, it wouldn't surprise me if ER was still on. Yeah, ER's entering its 45th season. Why not? Law and Order started when I was, a little kid. Law and Order's been on forever. Why not? Why not ER? Happy birthday, Noah Wiley. Don't know what you're doing now. Born on this day in 1971. Born on this day in 1972, a guy I partied with, Darian Hatcher. Big old party boy, Canadian hockey player, Darian Hatcher. Dude was huge, massive, giant. Remember, he was fun. Remember, he brought the dude from Nickelback. We were, this was at an early Pugs and Kelly dodgeball event. And some of the stars had to show up and hang out at the dodgeball events. And I guess Nickelback was in town or something. And by the way, this was before Nickelback was the programmed response to Who's the Worst Band of All Time. And it was, it was Darian Hatcher, Matty Mavichuk, and Chad Kroeger from Nickelback. That's cool. They were good. They were good dudes. Maybe this is why I defend Nickelback. I don't defend Nickelback. I don't think they're particular. Here's my take on Nickelback. Because, the programmed response, again, we talk a lot about, what are you doing, man? Get out of here. She's going nuts. The programmed response, of course, is that Nickelback is the worst band in the world. I don't think that's true at all. I think I think they're crowd pleasers. I think you play a Nickelback song right now, anywhere, anytime, to a drunk crowd of young people, they're going to go nuts. So, worst band of all time? Of course not. I don't know why we just, say that. Everyone knows it's Creed. Creed is the worst band of all time, not Nickelback. Nickelback ain't great, but they ain't bad. They're like top of all the bands I've ever seen in my life. They're like top 10%. They're Nickelback. They got songs that are, hits. Because why? Because a lot of people heard them at the same time and went, I like that song. That's how I know they're not the worst band of all time. Moving on. Born on this day in 1972. Happy birthday, Darian Hatcher. Darian Hatcher is friends with Nickelback. Born on this day in 1975, Russell Brand. Russell Brand, ladies and gentlemen, he's a smooth talking limey, isn't he? He is. He is just he is verbalized mental illness. That guy is there's a lot wrong with him. There's a lot wrong with Russell Brand. Does that mean that he isn't wildly articulate, wonderfully entertaining, and provocative in some of his social takes? No, it doesn't. All those things can be true. I'm actually a fan, but I also know he's a crazy person. He's a crazy person. So happy birthday, Russell Brand. You can tell he's crazy. You can tell that he suffers from some kind of mental illness. And I know that because although I do not think that I am at the level of him, anyone who can do this, who can just blee, 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 and articulate their thoughts so quickly and verbalize them in a performative way, there's a little, we're wired a little bit different. It's a little bit different thing going on here. And that manifests in a lot of ways that society calls mental illness. Happy birthday, Russell Brand. Also, let's talk about this little guy. Here's another guy who I think suffers from some kind of mental illness. He's been in a lot of trouble, and I think that's why. He's another wildly entertaining personality. Interesting, but bit of a handful. Happy birthday, TJ Miller. TJ Miller has been canceled more times than a Ted McGinley sitcom. Oh, that's pretty good. That's not terrible. That was on the fly. TJ Miller's been canceled more times than a Ted McGinley sitcom. Of course, it's a joke for old people, which I got to work on that, but you get my point. TJ Miller, Silicon Valley. He was so funny in Silicon Valley. He was also on another show, Carpool, which was a situation comedy that only ran for about 10 episodes in like 2006, and it was very funny. He played Marmaduke. It was very funny. Nobody watched it, but people don't watch great things all the time. Just because a show fails miserably in the ratings doesn't mean it was good. I like TJ Miller, but apparently he gets into fights with Uber drivers. I think he may have even been kicked off an airplane. He's got a lot of issues. There's some problems with him. I'm going to continue to separate the art from the artist, though, when it comes to TJ Miller, because he's funny. He just makes me laugh. He's big, giant face, big, giant teeth. Looks like a big smiling homeless man. He looks like a member of the Muppet Show band. You know what? That's it. If you were to turn TJ Miller into a Muppet, you could put him right in the Muppet Show band. He'd fit right in. Happy birthday, TJ Miller. Born on this day in 1981. That's going to do it. We're done with birthdays. Once again, millennials have really underperformed the last couple of days as far as, celebrating birthdays of note. Not too many. Let's do the deads. This is quarter 3. These are the people who've died. These are the people who've died. Pour one out for Jim Carroll, America's punk rock poet laureate. Oh my God, I shouldn't have said that. Maybe this is America's punk rock poet laureate. Dead on this day. Let's determine if they went to heaven or hell. Dead on this day in 1990, Stiv Bators. Stiv, very rock and roll name, very punk rock name, Stiv. It is like short for Steven. I have no idea. Stiv Bators was singer, songwriter, guitarist for the Dead Boys, ladies and gentlemen. The Dead Boys. He died. He was very important in the history of American punk rock. Stiv Bators is one of the founding fathers. He's with Iggy, and he's with you put David Johansen maybe in there. You put a little Stiv Bators, maybe Richard Helm in there. Point is this. Stiv Bators died in a very non-punk rock way. Stiv Bators died of, what did he die of? He died of something very, he died riding his bike. That's right. That's how he died. He died riding his bike. Stiv Bators was in Paris. He was riding his bike and he got hit by a car. Stiv Bators is going to hell, though. That's what we do here in quarter 3. quarter 3 is the heaven or hell quarter. These people who they died on this day, and we determine if they go to heaven or hell. Stiv Bators goes to hell. I don't know. I think there's a lot of heroin, a lot of gross 70s New York punk rock scene stuff. That's not heavenly. That's you know who was doing heavenly music back then? Air Supply. Air Supply, not Stiv Bators and the Dead Boys. Dead on this day in 1997. How about another one? Another, not punk rock, but another rock and roll legend, Ronnie Lane. Ronnie Lane died on this day. He's going to hell. He's going to hell because he was like in the Small Faces and in the Faces. And Ronnie Lane hung out with like Beatles and Rolling Stones in the 70s, not in the 60s, in the 70s when the debauchery was really kicking in. So I just got to believe Ronnie Lane is going to hell. The dog is now crawling into her little spot underneath my feet, and she's knocking things around, and she's stuck. She's stuck in a direction. She can't turn around, and she's not sure if she can back up. She's trying to get into a corner. Come on, you dummy. There you go. All I had to do was move it just a little bit, and now we're good. I need a drink. All right. Yes. I'm not saying that Air Supply isn't heaven. I'm saying that music of Stiv Bators was doing punk rock, greasy New York, gross punk rock. You got to go to hell. That's all I'm saying. It just seems like, his music wouldn't go over well there. Air Supply seems like heaven. I'm sorry to say it, but I feel like if you go to heaven, you're probably more likely to hear some Air Supply than you are some Stiv Bators and the Dead Boys. Ronnie Lane, he also goes to hell. Small Faces. Dead on this day in 2010, we got John Wooden, Coach Wooden, the Wizard of Westwood. John Wooden, the greatest college basketball coach of all time. What? What about Dean Smith? What about Coach K? John Wooden, UCLA. Those UCLA teams, man. Ooh, just because they happened before we were born doesn't mean they didn't happen. They happened. Coach Wooden. He had Walton, he had Jabbar. Okay, that's it. I can't name anybody else, but there was a ton of talent. Didn't they win 8 in a row? Didn't they win like 8 NCAA? Anyway, John Wooden was an old man who yelled at a bunch of poor black kids who were just, out of high school. He's probably going to hell. White college basketball coach in the 1960s and 70s during the transitional era. Come on. You just yelled at people. No, I like Coach Wooden, but I do have a rule. Coaches typically don't go to heaven unless there's something really outstanding about them. He was just winner. Wooden was just a winner. He just won. So he's going to hell. All right. Also, dead on this day in 2014. Here's another sports figure. This is a guy we got to decide. Don Zimmer, ladies and gentlemen. He is a titan in the world of baseball, especially if you were a baseball guy around the time that I was matriculating through baseball education. I suppose is that the way to use that word? Kind of matriculate, education, whatever. Don Zimmer. Don Zimmer was a coach. He was a manager. He was a ball legendary Yankee. Popeye. His nickname was Popeye. He just looked like absolute garbage. The man was probably, the first time I saw him, I thought he was like 80. The man was probably 40. He looked like he was 80 from the time he was 40. But here's what I will always remember Don Zimmer for. And there's a whole lot of Don Zimmer things from my baseball life. He was ubiquitous in baseball for 30 years. More than that, but just of my. Don Zimmer once got thrown like a rag doll by Pedro Martinez during a fight between the New York Yankees and the Boston Red Sox. And Pedro Martinez got absolutely crushed for what he did to Don Zimmer. Now, I want to show you this again because I hate the way baseball history is written sometimes in such a bullshit way. I want to show you the incident. Don Zimmer, he died on this day in 2014. I want to show you this incident. and then we'll talk about it. But this is my favorite Don Zimmer incident. This, again, comes from a Boston Red Sox, New York Yankees game. I don't know when this was, 2003, maybe, something like that. Here we go. The Pedro and Popeye incident.
This is over the head. Actually, must have hit the bat of Kareem Garcia, and a foul ball, and Garcia immediately pops up and screams at Martinez.
Yeah, that was perilously close to his head. Martinez hitting Soriano and Derek Jeter. The last time the Yankees and Red Sox played in a 2-1 game won by the Yankees back in August. Now Joe Torre.
Well, they warned both benches.
I guess it must have nicked the helmet. I thought it hit his bat too.
I thought it hit him in the back.
Really?
It was behind his head.
And Martinez.
Okay, so that was the previous inning. Now we move forward in the game.
Now pointing. That's a really?
It was behind his head.
And Martinez now pointing. That's the wrong thing to do. That's inciting right there. Trying to get himself under control.
Now Ramirez.
That ball's not even close.
You talk about looking for a reason.
Absolutely.
All right, so here's Pedro. So here comes Pedro. He's not even in the game. He's got the jacket on. He's just walking out. He was involved in, some of the heated exchanges earlier, but he's not directly involved in this situation. So here's Pedro just walking out. All right, here we go. I guess we got to come in from the dugout, or we got to come in from the bullpen. Got to make a good showing. And here comes Zim. All right. So Pedro's just walking out, and the old man, Don Zimmer, dead on this day in 2014, and the old man charges at him.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Don Zimmer and Pedro Martinez. Oh, my goodness.
All right. Now, Pedro Martinez had to apologize. Pedro Martinez was widely criticized for this. How could he do that to that old man? That old man charged him. He was wearing his jacket and he was just walking. And Don Zimmer made a beeline for Pedro Martinez. Very stupid move, by the way. Don Zimmer, all 5'10", 400 pounds of him, pointing at one of the scariest athletes in baseball at the time and going, "I want you." Don Zimmer ran at Pedro Martinez and then raised his hand and made physical contact with Pedro Martinez's face. All Pedro did was went, "Get away from me, old man." He was criticized to no end. Like Don Zimmer started this.
Absolutely.
Oh, my goodness. Don Zimmer and
then Pedro immediately backs away. He throws him away. He clears himself of any further violence. He doesn't jump on him and start throwing hammer fists. Don Zimmer ran at him and he tossed him away the way you're supposed to when you're assaulted. He didn't show any sort of the viciousness by which Pedro tossed him.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my goodness.
Don Zimmer and Pedro Martinez. Oh.
That's awful.
What's awful? I think that's Tim McCarver. What's awful? What is awful? I want to know, because I think it's awful that the old man ran at him. What was he supposed to do? Now, I have the benefit of knowing what the next couple of days brought. And the next couple of days brought Pedro Martinez being demonized for throwing an old man around. And I was always like, he didn't throw him around. He was defending himself.
Don Zimmer, a 72-year-old man, went into Pedro Martinez's face, and Pedro Martinez threw him down. And Zimmer, a 72-year-old man, went into Pedro Martinez's face, and Pedro Martinez threw him down.
That's terrible. Awful. That was absolutely awful.
Yeah, it's absolutely awful. Well, I'm telling you, I saw it. I remember that thing. It wasn't awful. It was Don Zimmer doing something stupid. Imagine being 72 years old and you still can't control your emotions enough to know that you shouldn't be charging at the 37-year-old equine-like athlete. Don Zimmer, you go to hell. Don Zimmer goes to hell. All right, that's going to do it. Those are the first 3 quarters of the show. They are now in the books. I will remind you that today's executive producer is the wonderful Jennifer S. Jennifer S. was the big tipper yesterday. If you want to be the executive producer of tomorrow's show, you just must be the big tipper of today. We are behind the 8 ball. We need to raise X amount of dollars. You can see it scrolling at the bottom there. $290, I believe, is the number today by end of show Friday in order for this show to continue on into its 3rd year. We do it every day, Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. You folks and your gracious tips have kept us afloat all of these years. Let's see if we can do it one more time. Thank you to Jen S. If you want to be tomorrow's executive producer or today's big tipper in general, maybe get that number down from 290. Again, optimistic today, still optimistic. It's Tuesday. By Thursday, 2nd hour of the show, maybe I'll be a broken man. Who knows? Fingers crossed. That could be interesting streaming. Moving on, yes, the PayPal, not the PayPal. Ignore the PayPal. The PayPal's a problem. The PayPal does not work. Venmo or Cash App, if you be so kind. All right, let's get into the top stories, the things that are trending today, what everybody is talking about. Cecil says, I don't have those pay Apple apps, get Zelle, and I can help you out. Oh, Cecil, you're wonderful. That's just the fact that you're even giving me a moment's thought. Thank you. Let's get started. Let's see. What is the first story here? I don't know what the big story is. I don't know what's more important. I think that they're all equally important. Garland's getting himself grilled on Capitol Hill. That's right. Attorney General Merrick Garland. This guy, not a fan, and not through any partisan reasons, purely bipartisan reasons. I think everybody thinks that this guy sucks and that we all dodged a bullet. I was one of these dudes who thought, hey, man, this guy should have been on the Supreme Court. That was kind of wild how he got screwed out of that. Never again. Never going to fall for that old rope-a-dope again where you don't give an outgoing president his Supreme Court picks. Nope, that'll never happen. See, what the Dems did is the thing that stupid Dems do all the time. The Dems are like, well, I think it's only right for me not to have a Supreme. It's the right thing. Oh, shut up about the right thing. The idiot liberal Democrats, they all think that there's some honor in falling on their sword and dying gracefully. There's no honor in losing. My God, look at the other side. That's what they figured out. There's no shame in it either. Just don't accept it. Garland. Anyway, Garland sucks. Whether you're on the right or on the left, all of us here in the 70, we're 70% in the middle. I think we can all look at this guy and go, ugh, God, just another one of these feckless bureaucrats who got their job because I've been patiently waiting. Ugh. Thank God he's not on the Supreme Court. At least we know we can be done with him after his term as AG. Get him out of here. They're grilling him. But here's the thing. I don't know what they're grilling him for. They're grilling him for stupid shit. He's like, both things can be true. He can be a feckless, worthless bureaucrat who history just can't forget about quick enough. And this could all be bullshit. All this stuff is so partisan. It's just all so partisan. It's all bullshit. Moving on. Hunter Biden. Let's talk about Hunter Biden now. You may be surprised to learn that I don't feel the same way about Hunter Biden. Here's how I think about Hunter Biden. Is it partisan? Probably. Is everything partisan? Yeah. Is there a crime to be prosecuted? Yeah. Would they have prosecuted it without, the partisan specter? I don't know. You can ask those same questions and just apply them to the Trump situation. The bottom line in both cases, for me, is I think there's a prosecutable offense here. So let's spin the wheel of justice and see where it turns out. Yeah. Don't do the crime. Don't. And by the way, me, I'm very big into these gun laws and all this gun stuff. I am a advocate for the Second Amendment, of course, but I also believe that we need to have some sort of reasonable conversation about this stuff. Reasonable minds need to be able to sit down over beers and go, all right, so we can agree that, crazy people shouldn't be able to walk into a Walmart and apply for a gun and get one, right? Whether it's a week or an hour, right? We can agree that crazy people shouldn't. Okay, good. Very good. See, there are reasonable things we can come up with. But I also believe we need to enforce the rules that we have. And Hunter Biden had the misfortune of being the son of a president in a very hyper-political climate. And it appears that he may have, in fact, lied on a gun application. And lying on a gun application brings some fairly severe consequences. So, okay. So if there is a crime here and it can be proven and all of that stuff, then yeah, I'm all for this case. I don't think it's nearly as insignificant as people say. I think that look, if the liberals are in a very strange position here, because in a normal state of mind, the liberals would want these kinds of gun laws to be prosecuted. They would want them. This is how we win the gun war, by putting the bad gun owners in jail. So they would be all for it. Except now it's being used against them. It's being used against one of their own. I don't know. Where is your consistency? Do you have an authentic intellectual and ideological consistency, or are you just, a partisan person who's zero consistency? It just depends on what's good for you in that moment. But I think bring the charges. Let's see it play out. If this dude was a doper and he went and got a gun and it specifically asked him, are you a doper? And he said no, then yeah, he lied on a gun application, and let's prosecute that boy. Let's go. Sorry. Maybe the libs at some point can start seeing him as a martyr. Maybe that'll be his next move. I made a mistake, but it's so important to enforce these gun laws. Like, I could see him doing that. Hunter Biden becoming like that guy. We'll forget about him. He'll go, if he goes to jail, how long is he going to go to jail? 25 years. He ain't going to jail for 25 years. I'm sorry. The president's son ain't going to jail for 25 years for this. This would be like months. This would be like, a few months. But he should. He absolutely should. He's a drug addict, privileged, entitled, silver spoon, 1%er. Well, the Bidens, they're not wealthy. They're powerful. They hide their wealth. They're powerful. With power comes wealth. And this dude's been a United States senator since these kids were born. Okay. They've never not been a senator's son. That comes with privilege that you and I can't even imagine. So let's get them. No favors. Let's go. That's the Hunter Biden case. They found the jury yesterday and they made their opening statements today. So developing ... Is this one not on TV either? I'd watch this one. If this one was on TV, I think that'd be a good view. Let's move on here. 1 o'clock. Did it happen yet? Any moment. Okay, so apparently today at 1 o'clock, Biden's going to talk about the border. He's got some new border plans. Apparently, it's going to be a big executive action on immigration. This is coming in the wake of, multiple failed border bills going through the House and the Senate, and nobody can agree, even the partisan one, because, they need to be able to fight about this stuff in our Congress. It makes good TV. Makes for terrible legislation, but it makes for good TV content. And as long as these people can keep getting invites onto Maddow or Hannity or News Nation or whatever it is, they'll keep it going. Our Congress doesn't want to solve any problems. They want to complain about the existing problems the loudest. That's what their entire deal is. So an executive action. It's going to take executive action on the border. Something probably in it's probably going to be, well, do we know what it's going to be here? Let me see. I don't want to probably this stuff. You know me. I don't like this political sausage making. I don't, they're gonna stop killers from coming over. That's what I want to know. Johnny in the middle here. Hey, I don't really care about the nuances of this thing. Are you doing something to stop the bad stuff that's happening, or at least the bad stuff that I'm being told is happening? Because I don't know. The streets here of University Park, Texas are not crawling with illegals. Actually, maybe they are. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not going to check the papers of people working on houses and doing lines. I don't know. Maybe they are. Not violent, though. Not a lot of violence around here. I'm not seeing that. I'm not threatened. President Joe Biden is expected to announce an executive order as early as Tuesday that would effectively shut down the U.S.-Mexico border to asylum seekers crossing illegally. Maybe this is what I don't understand. And there's a whole lot about the world I don't understand. But if they're crossing illegally and it already shut down, to like, how are they crossing? How are you going to now? They're going, okay, let me read this again. It would effectively shut down the U.S.-Mexico border to asylum seekers. Those are people trying to come here illegally. When a daily threshold is exceeded. Okay, so there's a number. So there's like, damn it, dog. The dog did that. President Joe Biden is expected to announce an executive order as early as Tuesday that would effectively shut down the U.S. border. You can either stop them from coming across or you can't. And I thought they couldn't. I thought that was the problem. Now he's saying, oh, no, we're going to start doing that now. President Joe Biden is expected to announce an executive order as early as Tuesday that would effectively shut down the U.S.-Mexico border to asylum seekers when a daily threshold of crossings is exceeded. A sweeping and controversial proposal that is likely to receive fierce pushback from progressives and immigration advocates. The executive, so this is he's doing like a right-friendly, and I don't know if it's even right-friendly. Is he just attacking the border with common sense? Because that's not right-friendly and that's not left-friendly. Right-friendly is whatever the most extreme and inhuman possible thing is. And left-friendly is whatever the most, are we looking at the same situation, delusional bullshit they can come up with. I think the reasonable people, us in the middle, we're just like, well, can't we just shut the border down? Can't we just do that? Build a wall? Dare I say, no, don't. That's because I know that that's impossible. I mean, it's not impossible. It's just, it's economically not something anybody's willing to throw the money at. But it is possible. Be a big job. Hell, if the Chinese could do it to, keep the Mongols out 1,000 years ago, I'm sure that there are some fine American construction companies that could get that done now. But this executive action described by CNN, so it's not going to have any spin on it. The executive action described by CNN, briefed on the order, CNN was briefed on the order, would mark a significant attempt by Biden to address head-on. Oh God, why do they write this way? The order would mark a significant attempt by Biden to address head-on one of the biggest political vulnerabilities just weeks before the first presidential debate with former President Donald Trump. Trump has made hardline immigration policies a cornerstone of his campaign. This executive order uses an authority known as 212F, a regulation which has been used under the Trump administration and widely denounced by Democrats. All right, so that's interesting about this thing. There's something in the fine print. So this thing that Biden's about to announce is something that Trump used that apparently is something that the right really likes and has been calling for him to use and has been saying, executive, why would you can do something? He wouldn't because he's crazy liberal Joe, sleepy Joe, not paying attention, whatever. But now he's going to do it. So today he's going to say something that should make MAGA happy. We'll see. We'll see. Somehow I think this isn't going to go over well. But whatever, Joe. Pander, 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 you crazy old coot. I can't believe we look at these presidential candidates. Oh, God. Yeah, do you remember when it was Trump and Hillary? Like, that feels like 15 years ago. Remember when it was Trump and Hillary and we were like, I can't believe this is the best we got. And then the next cycle came around and it was Trump and Biden and we're like, I can't believe this is the best we got. And now here we are for like this third cycle and it's again, this is the best we got. Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Holy sheesh. The heat dome's coming. Heat dome's coming. All right, we've had enough of this floods. We've had enough of the lightning strikes causing fires. We've had enough of tornadoes. We've had enough of the straight line winds at 80 miles to 100. Hurricane force straight line winds. We've had enough of that here in Texas. Bring on the heat, you bitches. Bring on the heat. Heat dome alert. Heat dome is coming. It's time for fire. That's right. We've been wet. We've been cold. We've been shivering. We've been in the dark. Now, let's bring on the fire. Southwest to bake in the first heat wave of the season. Records may fall. So they're saying that this is going to start out in Southern California. It's going to go through Nevada and Arizona. And then we're going to get it stuck right up our, here in Texas in the coming days. But apparently, this is going to be excessive heat. It's going to be in excess of 110 degrees. That's what they're calling for in Phoenix. 110 plus in Phoenix in the coming days from this heat dome. So we here in Dallas, the record is being set. We know what we need to beat. We'll probably get there. We'll be over 110 by 8:30 in the morning on Friday. Be like, okay, here we go. Heat dome. Bring on the fire. All right, let's see. What else do we have here? Other big news. 65%. Okay, this is an interesting story concerning us here, the middle class. I think we, the middle class, the great forgottens, the working class, the people in the middle. That is just another way of me describing us, the 70%. The majority of middle class Americans say they struggle financially. 65% of the middle class say that they struggle financially day to day. Well, you can't really have a thriving modern society without a happy and content middle class. The erosion of the middle class isn't a new issue, but 65% is a pretty disturbing number. The middle class should be, look, the people in the middle class who struggle, that number should be like less than 20%. I mean, the middle class is supposed to mean contentment. You're not poor, but you're also not rich. What are you doing, dog? Dog's just, I don't know. Sometimes the dog just likes to make noises. Almost two-thirds of Americans who are considered middle class said that they are facing economic hardship and don't anticipate a change for the rest of their lives. This according to a poll commissioned by the National True Cost of Living Coalition. I don't know what that is. Probably something else our tax dollars are going to. Anyway, that's just a number. 65% of the middle class say that they're struggling financially. The middle class is an interesting place to be. It's where I've spent my whole life. The middle class is filled with people who, I think, unfortunately, will do whatever it takes to carry water for the class that is up above them. I mean, I'm essentially describing an American caste system. We don't have caste systems here. Yeah, we do. That's one of my great beliefs. But so the middle class is always suffering from the mansion on the hill syndrome, which is if I just work hard and if I just do what I'm told and if I just, side with those people who are up above me, if I do everything they want, they will one day allow me into their country club. And then on that day, I can live in that mansion on the hill. That's a real syndrome that the middle class suffers from. There is no contentment the way there was back when, you worked in a factory and you put two kids through college. Now it's all about McMansions and multiple cars and, going on a private jet at some point. That's the aspiration. It's unrealistic. And I wonder if that has sort of infected the mindset of the middle class in this day more so than it has in the past. As I said, the middle class has always been aspirational. They've always been, hoping to get to that next thing. Now, that's the way they look at the social caste, the order above them, the wealthy class. The middle class also sees the lower class in their rearview mirror, and they hate them. The middle class has always been counted on by the upper class to keep the lower class in line. The upper class almost never has to get their hands dirty because they can gin up the middle class to keep that lower class in line. Middle class is a very complicated and very important part of a civilized society. 65% of the modern middle class say that they are struggling. If the middle class implodes, I mean, that's that's basically how you got Hunger Games. When the middle class implodes, you get Hunger Games, because then the separation becomes far greater, and there isn't a buffer. There isn't a buffer sect of humanity, the middle class, between the poor people who are willing to do anything to get out of their predicament and the rich people who have essentially controlled this whole puppet show from the beginning. Thank you. That's how I feel about the middle class. 65% of the middle class say that they feel some form of financial hardship. Kanye's in the news again. Kanye's always in the news. He's always making it weird, but this time he's in the news for doing something that do we have weird Kanye sex stories? Like, is Kanye a weird sex guy? Like, I know that's R. Kelly and P. Diddy and all that stuff. Kanye's just like, Mr. Anti-Jew guy, right? He's like weird in other ways guy. So anyway, Kanye making it weird sexually now. Apparently this story is breaking today. Kanye West has been accused of masturbating on the phone with an ex-assistant. The assistant has filed a lawsuit against Kanye. Her name is Lauren Pishota, and she claims the All Falls Down rapper, 46, who goes by Yee, sent her a series of lurid messages before firing her. West hired Pishota back in July of 2021 when she had a successful OnlyFans profile. Only the best people. He's hired hot chicks. He's just seeing hot chicks that he likes on OnlyFans and giving them jobs. West hired Pishota in 2021 when she had a successful OnlyFans profile, and they collaborated together on 3 songs in Donda. This according to the suit that she has filed against him. Pishota describes how a year later, West asked her to stop using OnlyFans, offering her a $1 million a year salary if she agreed. And she did. So, I mean, I guess OnlyFans is a good way to make money if you're hot. But I guess it's not $1 million a year way to make money, because she stopped, took $1 million. I'll take $1 million. All right. Did he wants to give me $1 million, being his entourage? Whatever. I'm already an OnlyFans model. It's not like I have standards. Okay, let's do it. Shortly after, she gave up the OnlyFans career, the thriving OnlyFans career. And honestly, I can say that tongue in cheek, but her career got her noticed by Yee. Been doing 3 years of streams. This ain't nobody noticed me here. Shortly after the suit, she alleged that West began sending her vulgar text messages, sexual videos, and photos, and would masturbate while on the phone to her and ask if she could tell what he was doing. She also claims the rapper was fixated on the penis size of her past boyfriends. That's interesting. According to the lawsuit, Pishota was then promoted to, okay, so remember, she was an OnlyFans chick that Kanye saw. God, it'd be great to be a dumb billionaire. For $1 million a year, which is like pocket change to him, for $1 million a year, he just moved his favorite OnlyFans girl into his everyday life. He controlled her. For $1 million a year. Again, when you're a billionaire and you're Kanye, you probably make $1 million every 15 minutes. According to the lawsuit, Pishota says, okay, so she's making $1 million a year. She quits OnlyFans. And then shortly after that, he decides to give her a raise. According to the lawsuit, Pishota was then promoted to chief of staff for his various companies. And her salary was increased to $4 million a year. An OnlyFans girl that he paid $1 million a year to not be OnlyFans was made chief of staff of his various corporations and paid $4 million a year. Man, do you know that if you paid me $4 million a year for 1 year, I would never have to work again after that? Do you know how smartly I could live on $4 million for the rest of my life? Oh my God. And this dummy. Now let's check this girl out, right? Let's see what this girl is. So she's saying that, he probably fired her because she was terrible at her job, because it was a made up title. And the companies were actually making money because he was a freaking cash cow and she didn't know how to do that. So they fired her. And then, he probably also was jerking off while he fired her because he's Kanye and anything is possible. So Let's see what she looks like. Like, what, aren't you interested? I'm a little interested in seeing what she looks like. Ba-dum-bum-bum-bum. Here we go. Oh, okay. I see yous. What? All right, so let's see if this is I mean, look, does she look like somebody that he would do this to, right? Isn't that a question? It's like, well, what does she look like? Is she super hot? Because if she's not, if she's like, we're gonna be like, Kanye ain't gonna beat it to that. But no, unfortunately, she's very hot. I can see why. She was his favorite OnlyFans. Yeah, look at that. He likes that body. That's that weird modern body. I don't like that body. That body is not a body I find attractive. I mean, I don't hate it. Don't get me wrong. Like, it'd be like, oh, no way, never, not a thing. I would never be with that. But that's not like the 80s body that I got used to. Look at the big butt, like a big fat butt is now a popular thing with the young men. And I'm like, that's a big fat butt. I don't like a big fat butt. Look at that. That's a big fat butt. That is a big fat butt to me. I blame Jennifer Lopez. I think she was the one who about 25 years ago made the big fat butt something, because she was so beautiful here. Jennifer Lopez was so beautiful 25 years ago. And then you'd go down and you'd be like, oh, but she's got a big fat butt. She somehow turned that into a good thing. There you go. Look at her. Kanye's got doesn't she look like Kim Kardashian? Doesn't she look like that whole, Kanye's got a vibe. He's got a thing he likes. All right, there she is. So I guess the question is, do I believe that he sexually harassed her? I sure do, because he's Kanye. I don't rule anything out. Kanye. All right. Kanye West. He's being sued by a former assistant. She says he beat it. Beat it. Hold on. I lost my place. It's going to take us a second here. Okay, Kanye. We did the Kanye stuff. What else do we want to get into here? What else? Big news happening in the world. President speaking. Oh, he's speaking. Should we listen to him for a minute? Let's see what this guy's getting into.
Is Prime Minister Netanyahu playing politics with the war? I don't think so. He's trying to work out a serious problem.
Oh God, look at him. That's the leader of the free world right there, you guys. Oh, with all due respect, look, I'm not one of these people. I don't think he's a pedophile. I think he's a career politician. He seems like a reasonable man, but he is just not up for the job. Okay. I mean, I thought they were showing tape from yesterday. Yesterday, he did this thing where he made some statement and then he wandered off stage like the grandpa that he is. And somebody shouted something out to him at the last minute and he stopped and he turned and he gave this like really weird smile. Like, I could tell you something right now, but I'm not. And it would just seem so feeble. It didn't seem, it was performative on his part. I think he thought that he's like, I'm going to do my best Steve McQueen in this. I'm going to show them and it didn't come off that way. It came off like he didn't understand what you said and he's confused. He doesn't know where he is. Look at him. He's completely lost right now. He's smiling like a fucking idiot. He thought it was Steve McQueen. It was more like, Corky from Life Goes On, which is problematic because he's the president of the United States. And again, I'm not a Biden hater. I am not one of these people who is on the side of, he's a pedophile. I mean, that's silly stuff. But he is not a good president. I don't want to get into the ins and the outs of what, his administration has accomplished or not accomplished, what they're claiming, what they're not claiming. I don't want to get into that. I'm telling you that just as a citizen of the United States, I don't like that guy being the dude that people around the world go, that's the president. I don't like that guy. That guy looks sickly. That guy looks, I'm not entirely sure. I'll tell you the one thing that I do believe. The one thing that I do believe that you hear biased people, the anti-Biden people say. Here's something that I do believe. I do believe that he is mentally compromised. I do not think that guy is all there. Sorry. I think that he is competent enough that they feel they could weekend at Bernie's his ass right into another 4 years, get him to step down, and then, I don't know, some sort of coup in the Democratic Party where they could try and, I don't know. Kamala? I don't know. I don't know what the plan is, but I do know that when I look at this man, and then he did it again right here. We missed a lot of his border speech. Sorry. He did it again. He did the same thing. He's walking off like he's lost, and then somebody shouts something, and he stops and he answers. Just stop it, man. You look foolish. Oh. Yes, I think he's mentally compromised. But guys, I also think Trump is mentally compromised. I think that Trump is just as badly on the downward slope of senility as Biden. I think that there's a weird physical difference, though. I think that Trump may be, as odd as this may seem because he's really heavy, but he seems like he's in physically better shape. Like, Biden doesn't even look like he can walk. But man, they're both nuts. They're both forgetful. They are both compromised in integrity, as far as I'm concerned. We're in trouble. You know what the hell he just said. We just missed Biden's whole thing. But I'm telling you, just watching him walk off like that, we're in trouble. I don't even know. I don't even know. Nobody on the horizon. Neither party has allowed anyone else to even bubble up to the slightest bit. Nobody. I mean, I guess the Democrats got that Gavin Newsom dude. He's out there. He's in case of emergency. Which, again, with Joe Biden, the emergency could come at any minute because he doesn't look well. He doesn't look up for it. All right, that's enough. See, this is the kind of politics we do here. It's not really one-sided or the other, and I hate doing it. So anyway, let's move on. Let's move on to a different kind of politics, social politics. This is the big story that everybody's been talking about. We mentioned it yesterday because it was kind of buzzing about all weekend long, but now today it's found an entirely different fuel to propel it because it's big again today, and it's the whole Caitlin Clark situation. The Caitlin Clark, is that right? By the way, kudos to Caitlin Clark, the WNBA rookie superstar for the Indiana Fever. Look at me knowing the name of the team, knowing all that stuff. We are slowly being indoctrinated into things, basic pieces of information about the WNBA. We are slowly. And that is entirely due to the presence of Caitlin Clark, #1 overall draft pick down there. So the story over the weekend was that Caitlin Clark got hip checked by Kennedy, although I swear to God, I just want to call her Chennedy because it's Kennedy with a CH and not a K, but let's call it Chennedy. Was it Chennedy Carter? I think that's it. Chennedy Carter of the Chicago Sky hip checked her. Flagrant. I mean, it was welcome to the NBA, bitch. Boom. Knocking her on her ass. That made everybody upset. Everybody was like, they need to protect the golden goose. To which my point was, no, they don't. No, they don't. She is the golden goose because this is what we're tuning in for. We want to see her play the game of basketball. We don't want to see these other players just anoint her the Michael Jordan or the Kobe of the WNBA. No, we want to see her earn it. We want to see her earn it the way every other great has had to earn it. And, don't have a selective memory. All the greats had to earn it. So that was my thought. But, of course, because everything in this country is typically introduced and picks up the most steam conversationally, is when race is somehow injected. So because Caitlin Clark is white and because Kennedy Carter is black, and because Indiana and Chicago are already rivals in a whole bunch of other ways, I mean, geographically speaking, they're very close to each other. And because Indiana represents, I don't know, a Mike Pence vibe. I don't know. What are they saying about Indiana? And Chicago is a very Obama vibe. There's a whole bunch of reasons to sort of build on this controversy. Angel Reese, who was, of course, Caitlin Clark's chief rival in college, is now plays for the Sky. So these games, the games between the Sky and the Fever are going to be, if there is any interest at all in the WNBA, and there seems to be this year, these are going to be some showcase games. These are going to be the games that people are going to pay attention to most. And we were paying attention over the weekend, and there was a hard foul on Caitlin Clark, and everybody got all tizzy about it. It's basketball. Here's what I'll tell you. If that's how they play WNBA, because I don't know anything about WNBA, not really been exposed to it, haven't sought it out. But if that's the way they play, then they're playing a real rough and tumble style 1970s Eastern Conference basketball. If that's what they're playing in the girls' league, that'd be cool to watch. Might check that out. I don't know what my expectations are of women's basketball. I don't have a whole lot of it in my history. I'm not against it. Just haven't been exposed to it. But I'm getting exposed to it now. Because of the presence of one person, Caitlin Clark. She's the whole reason. Now, are we watching Caitlin Clark because she's white? No. I mean, I'm not watching her because she's white. But let me ask the next question. Am I aware of her because she's white? Now you see. Now that's I'm going to say, yeah, probably. I am probably aware of Caitlin Clark because she's white. I've been hearing about her for 2 years. She's this white girl from Iowa who's just, rewriting the record books. It was an interesting story. If she was a black girl from South Philly, I don't know that her rewriting the college women's record books would have been as big a story. So when you say to me, you rooting for Caitlin Clark, is it because she's white? No. But then if you say, well, how do you even know who Caitlin Clark is? You're not a follower of basketball. I would say it's because of the media. And then you ask the media, did you promote her because she's white? That I absolutely believe is true. Absolutely. They selectively ran with that story because they knew there was an underlying narrative that a white girl is more interesting than just a black girl. Now, this white girl happened to be better than every other black girl who ever played. The records reflect it. That's just a fact. So yeah, she's a white girl and she's better. She's not just selectively getting the attention because she's a white girl, although that might be a reason why she popped in the beginning. But man, she backed it up. There ain't no fooling with this Caitlin Clark. She is legit. Now, Pat McAfee yesterday goes on his show. And I love Pat McAfee, full disclosure. I think he's terrific. I think he's smart. I think he's fun. I think he's reinventing and coming at sports commentary and sports talk in a way that's fresh and new. Why? Because he didn't come at it from sports talk radio. He's just got, I love these guys who didn't do 15 years in sports talk, who have a completely different sort of starting point for how they want to create their presence. He's very good. I love him. Did a whole thing yesterday. He opened the show talking about the Caitlin Clark situation with Kennedy Carter. And essentially, I'll show you. This is where he got himself in some trouble. Shut up, dog. Seriously, I love you, and everybody knows I love you, but you're going to make me talk to you bad, okay? Hold on. Let me show you the context first. So this is what Pat McAfee did yesterday, okay? And this is what he got himself in trouble for. He is apologizing today, so I'll have that apology for you. All right, here we go. Oh, okay. While we're waiting on this, I'm going to let the dog out. You want to go out? Okay. If you want to go out, you can go out, but you cannot make this noise. Let's go. Go on. Go. But do not make noise. Ugh. Sorry about that. The dog's being a handful today. I do apologize. Okay. All right. So let me play for context what Pat McAfee had to apologize for. Here we go.
What the WNBA currently has is what we like to describe as a cash cow. There is a superstar. And we're not saying that the players on the court need to act any differently. That's the athletes are going to do what athletes are going to do in any sport. And I think we're all learning The WNBA, that's old school football, baby.
Yeah, no.
That is old school
play
football.
ball.
But I would like the media people that continue to say, this rookie class, this rookie class, this rookie class. Nah, just call it for what it is. There's one white bitch for the Indiana team who is a superstar. And is it because she stayed in Iowa, put an entire state on her back, took a program from nothing to a multiple year success story? Is it because she would go on to break the entire points records in the history of the NCAA? Not just the women's record by Kelsey Plum, shout out, but also Pistol Pete Maravich's, the dude's record as well. Is there a chance that people just enjoy watching her play basketball because how electrifying she is, what she did, what she stood for, how she went about going, what she went for? Maybe. But instead, we have to hear people say that we only like her because she's white. And she's the only popular because the rest of the rookie class is doing what they're doing. Well, that's a bunch of bullshit. And we think the WNBA, more specifically, their refs need to stop trying to screw her over at every single turn. What you have is somebody special. And we're lucky she's here in Indiana.
All right. So that is the context of what he said there. And it's important because now, having seen that, you know that he was defending her. Not that she needs defending, but he was talking about her from a position of, you know, she's the most important thing in this league and blah, blah, blah. But he called her a white bitch. And so here, this is what went viral. So let me show you what went viral. Because again, context is important. You just saw the whole context of that. But this is what he had to apologize for because this is what went viral. Here we go. Ready? Yeah, we'll do this. Okay. Ready? This is it. This is what goes viral. This is why you got to apologize. This is why people are calling on ESPN to fire him. This is what they're reacting to.
Call it for what it is. There's one white bitch for the Indiana team who is, call it for what it is. There's one white bitch for the Indiana team who is, call it for what it is. There's one white bitch for the Indiana team.
That's all the context needed to call for his job. That's it. You don't want to listen to the full. I played you the whole minute and a half where he talks about how special she is and how great she is and how important she is to the league. But no, because he's a very familiar style broadcaster, he talks like one of your dudes, one of your bros. When he used white bitch, he wasn't using it in a way to sort of marginalize her. It was almost the opposite. He was calling her that almost ironically in that way. He was calling like this white bitch, like you think that's all she is? No, no, no. She's the white bitch. This white bitch. He wasn't calling her a white bitch like I hate white. Anyway, that's the way it's being spun. It's being spun that he needs to apologize to her, which, by the way, he says he has. Context. Again, nothing that he said there that she, if she heard it herself, Caitlin Clark, would take offense to. Here's what he says in his apology. I shouldn't have used white bitch as a descriptor of Caitlin Clark, no matter the context. Even if I were talking about race being a reason for some of the stuff happening, I have way too much respect for her and women to put that into the universe. My intention when saying it were complimentary, just like the entire segment, but a lot of folks are saying that it certainly wasn't at all. That's 100% on me, and for that I apologize. I've sent an apology to Caitlin as well. That's all you can do. People are going to take, if you've got a big enough platform and you say something that gets heard by enough ears, people want to take what you say in order to, you know, make themselves feel like better people. Look at what he said. Look how terrible this is. And again, all we saw, or all that went viral, was that little 3-second clip of him calling her a white bitch. There's another interesting thing here. Bob Costas is trending now today for a lot of the same reasons. Let's put the Bob Costas tape up here. Bob Costas used to be a really important guy in the world of sports. I don't know how important he is now. but you know, he just pops up with, you know, hot sports takes and social opinions from time to time. This was on CNN last night. It's got Bob Costas trending. It's on the very same subject that had Pat McAfee trending. There's a bunch of white guys getting in trouble for talking about Caitlin Collins. I don't know that Bob Collins is in trouble, but I don't know that Bob Costas is in trouble. But let's give a listen to what he said. It's got him trending. He is talking on the subject of Caitlin Clark in the WNBA and whether or not the treatment of her is too excessive.
There was an incident recently. Alyssa Thomas, who happens to be African-American, grabbed Angel Reese by the throat and threw her to the floor. Flagrant 2, ejected from the game. The reason why that doesn't spark as much conversation isn't just that Caitlin Clark is a bigger star than Alyssa Thomas. It's because it's a black-on-black incident,
Wow.
and you don't have that dynamic that people can comment on, yes, but also exaggerate and make the entire story sometimes.
And also, no
that
one
is really
cares.
that is between
no
the
one
lines.
cared about the WNBA when women of a certain color were beating up and bruising each other, because it's been happening since the league's inception. We have this star, this person that people love. They want to protect her. So now the new fans and the new analysts and the new people have so much to say. Bob, thank you for saying that and acknowledging that, because you're a legend in this sport. And you are also gracious enough to say,
Oh, brave,
look,
Bob.
I'm not an expert in the WNBA, but what I do know from the history and what I do know, this is why she is being treated this way, and why no one cares about
I've seen it in every sport.
I mean,
a newcomer is tested and to some extent resented.
I mean, what's wrong with players being aggressive to a certain degree,
but not the way
Look,
Kennedy Carter was. That was a flagrant foul.
There's a process for that, and the game handles that by penalizing the player.
Sure.
Why does it have to be jealousy?
That's what I have asked this question. I'm sorry, I'm livid. My blood is boiling. I've been so angry about this topic all day, because it's so simple to make women versus women a conversation, but it's just so simple. There should be more layers to this sport. If you're really going to welcome yourself to the WNBA and cover it and talk about it, can we be more than just jealous? Can there be some real true competition? Can they just be athletes?
I know you're speaking generally, because I didn't.
That's not where you're coming from at all. He and I have had this conversation, and I'm like, you know what I'm saying?
I do.
I don't know. Why is it so simple?
I think it'd be foolish to say that resentment and jealousy are not part of the mix, because those are human emotions.
Sure.
But to elevate that above everything else and discard everything else in a complicated dynamic, that's the wrong way to go.
Correct.
All right. Isn't that interesting? Bob Costas. I want to say something here before we get too far away from it. Who was it? Somebody in the chat said something interesting. Somebody in the chat says something interesting all the time. I shouldn't act like it's such a big... Oh, it was Adam. All right, here we go. I want to show this. Adam Reyna in the chat room. He says, concerning the word bitch, Pat McAfee referring to Caitlin Clark as a white bitch. Again, context shows us that he meant it in a very flattering way. He didn't mean it with any malice, but wasn't taken that way. So Adam says, regarding the word bitch, it's going to be like the N-word. Just think of bitch as the N-word. Don't say it. Okay, thank you for that, Adam. Couple of questions. It's going to be like the N-word. Says who? Says who? Because I don't believe that for 1 minute. I believe that the N-word is a much different word that was used specifically for much different reasons. All right, but we'll get past that. But I understand what you're saying. You're saying that it's going to be one of those words that, just white men? Is it just us white men who can't say it? Like, is there going to be like female hip hop that's going to be able to use the bitch word? Bij? Are we going to have to change it? Like, like soft R, hard R, that whole thing? Is it going to be like bij? Like, as a white middle-aged man, can I call somebody a bij? That sounds like something the gays already got, though, if I'm being honest. It sounds like they're probably already using bij. Here's the other thing. Just think of bitch as the N-word and don't say it. Well, who's making these decisions? See, I think this is a good example without getting hysterical. This is a good example. Adam is a very left-leaning friend. But where did this information come to you from? Who's telling you that? And why can't I say bitch anymore after having... Look, Joan Collins on Dynasty gave us the word bitch, and we've been using it freely for everything. Jay and Silent Bob. Think about what would Jay and Silent Bob be without the word bitch? Who are these people that are just making these new rules? No more new rules about words I can't say. I, as a middle-aged white man, I make this pledge to you, and I truly haven't had an issue with this in my life. I pledge, and I don't even need an explanation. I just don't need it. I understand how complicated it is. Don't want to get bogged down in all of the nuances here, but I pledge as a middle-aged white man, I'm not going to say the N-word. I don't need it. I don't need it. You guys say it's probably not a good look for me. I agree. I'm not going to say it. Don't need it. Never have. No questions asked. Just ain't going to say it. And I'm also not going to be one of these guys that goes, well, how come he can say it? I don't care. I don't care because I don't want to say it. I understand the ugliness and the history behind that word. And I also understand it's a problematic word. Even talking about that word. I am not willing to go there with bitch. I'm not going to give a bitch. Hell, I've only kind of given up the F word. My son, my 15-year-old son and I, we, in the privacy of our own moments, use the F word a lot. And I don't mean the FU word. I mean the FA word. I mean the word that means cigarettes in England. We like that word. It's a fun word. And neither he nor I have any issue whatsoever with our gay brothers and sisters. But it's a fun word. And I never used it pejoratively against someone because of their sexual orientation. I used it because they can't catch, Oh, you fat. That's how I used it. You can't catch. You made a mistake. He said something. He made fun of me. Oh, shut up, fat. That's how we used it. And I didn't even know that was a word that was, also applied to homosexuality until I'm probably like 18, 19 years old. Anyway, I still like that word. But I'm also going to keep bitch. I'm not going to stop saying bitch. Oh, son of a bitch. I'll tell you what I will do, and this is easy. This is an easy one, okay? And this is maybe where Pat McAfee ran afoul. I'm never going to use it. I won't use it on somebody, like especially somebody that I don't know, right? I'll get that. I'll do that. Like, so I won't call her a white bitch. I won't say Taylor Swift. Now that's a white bitch. Okay, so I can live without saying that. That's fine. Don't even know why I would say that, but I got to be able to say bitch. I'd be like, shut your mouth, bitch. Like I got to be able to do that. How can I not do that? Oh, son of a bitch. Got to have that. All right, there you go. Caitlin Clark, the story that won't go away. Adam says, you're using my argument for me. We have better words. Just use a different word. See, but why? Why do I got to see? This is the thing. But he's like, why do I got to use a different word? Because you say so? I mean, don't you on any level understand why that irritates people? That position that you've taken, that you need us to go find another word, that's a bit inconvenience. And that's why people hate the left so much. It really is. It's these little micro irritations. You're always making other people do things they don't want to do. I got to find a new word for bitch. That's on me. Says who? How about I just keep bitch and you shut your mouth? I mean, there's that. Just telling people they can't say bitch. I think when somebody says something mean, I think if his entire tone in that segment was, look, let me tell you something. I don't like Caitlin Clark. I think that she's taking the spotlight from a whole bunch of other people. And I'll tell you something. I wouldn't go root for that white bitch. That's a whole different context than what he did. And I agree. You shouldn't say that. That should not be good. That if that's how he said it, then yeah, ESPN should fire him. That seems a bit aggressive. Talking about another woman like that. I don't know. All right, we're going to move on. Anyway, yeah, we got the apology. So he apologized. You know why he apologized? Because he's a modern dude. Because he gets that, yeah, people are going to completely take this wrong. They're going to force me to apologize, and I'm going to apologize, and we're going to move on. He's not one of these guys going, I ain't gonna apologize. You need me to fucking apologize? It's 2024. You need me to apologize for anything? I'll apologize. Whatever. Is that what it takes? Because I understand it's not really about what's actually happening. It's just about you being hurt and then needing me to pay some kind of a penance for it. And in this moment, the penance becomes me being forced to say something I don't want to say. I can play that game. I can play that game all day. It's the dummies who I am not going to apologize. Idiots with principle. Ugh. Principles suck. Having principles is one of the biggest crushes crosses to bear that anybody's ever going to have. The principle. Very few principled people anymore. All right, moving on. How about this? X has announced that they haven't even had to announce this, although this is the big story today. Coming from the X newsroom. X has a lot of porn. Look, X has gotten really skanky these past few years. Seriously, I see porn all over my timeline, and I don't follow porn people. It's just the algorithm's like, well, he seems to be a middle-aged white man. He probably watched this, and I hate it. I hate all of this porn that is now all over my timeline on Twitter, on X, or whatever. Here's why I hate it. Because I like Twitter as like a public thing that I scroll. Like if I'm in public, like if I'm in a waiting room or something like that, and I'm sitting on a couch and there's other people, I will scroll Twitter. And I don't need, big giant dick and balls every couple of swipes up. And this is happening more and more on Twitter. And now there's an explanation for why it is. As of today, X, formerly Twitter, formally allows X-rated content on the platform. There you go. Telling you, man, Elon needs to make money any way he can. He needs to make. He way overpaid for this platform, and now he is just pimping it out. Elon Musk's X, formerly Twitter, has updated its rules to officially allow adult and graphic content on the platform. Adult content and nudity has always been present to some degree on Twitter. Unlike Facebook or Instagram, Twitter has never explicitly banned pornography, even before Musk's takeover in late 2022. So they always had, you always could, but there just wasn't a problem. It wasn't as common, I guess, as it's become. X updated the guidelines over the weekend, stating that sexual expression, visual or written, can be a legitimate form of artistic expression. Yeah. And those people pay. Those people pay for boosts. That's what it's about. Those people pay. You want to allow them. You want to give them something to pay for. Anyway, plenty of more boobs, dicks coming to your Twitter feed. I wish there was something that could replicate the same thing that Twitter is, but just without all like the weird Twitterness. Twitter's a bad neighborhood now. Used to be kind of a good neighborhood. I used to like Twitter. I left Facebook for Twitter, and I had a good couple of years on Twitter, and then it just got ugly. It just got weird. Now there's dicks everywhere. What else do we have here? New York, the state of New York is going to ban algorithms that target teens. And I'm like, wait, those aren't already banned? There's already the New York is set to restrict social media algorithms targeting teens. New York plans to prohibit social media companies from using algorithms to steer content to children without parental consent under a tentative agreement reached by state lawmakers. The legislation is aimed at preventing social media companies from serving automated feeds to minors, with such feeds facing criticism for leading children to violent and sexually explicit content. The bill, which is still being finalized but is expected to be voted on this week, could also permit platforms from sending minors notifications during overnight hours without parental consent. Okay, so here's what it is. I should probably start from the beginning. I don't understand. I don't get how social media works with kids. Like my son, like what would my concern be as a man of my age? I'm familiar with Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. That's pretty much it. My kid ain't on any of that stuff. And I think my kid ain't on any of that stuff because my kid knows that that's the stuff that I'm familiar with. So he's just staying up. There's like a million other social media platforms out there that I'm pretty sure my kid is fairly active on. I know my kid is very active on TikTok because it is one of the only places that he and I have some kind of crossover. Like we're friends. Like I follow him on TikTok, he follows me, and I see all the stuff that he does on TikTok, and it's all pretty much meathead high school football stuff, which is fine. But that doesn't mean that he's not other places that I have no idea about. So this New York law, which is now going to sort of give parents like me who feel completely lost. I know how to tweet. I know how to post on Facebook. That's it. But there is a whole scary world of social media where our kids are out there hanging with chat rooms, discourse. But also, like if we're talking about Facebook and stuff, kids aren't like my kid ain't gonna be on Facebook. He's never gonna be on Facebook. Because like all of his grandmas are on Facebook. He doesn't want to be on Facebook. He's funny. He doesn't want to be judged by his 15-year-old state of mind. Anyway, California or New York seems like they're doing a good thing. Big story. New York is now going to ban algorithms from expressly targeting minors. Which I should maybe that's just the law. Should 18 and under? Is it no one should be on social media under 18? Maybe it should just be an 18 plus place. The anonymity of social media bothers me because you can have really weird ass 60-year-old grown-ups intermingling with 13-year-olds, and you can have like weird 13-year-olds infiltrating like old people. Look, I'm just saying it's weird. The anonymity of social media is troubling to me. Always has been. I think you should have to have your social security number. I think it should just be your social security number. Let's see who you really are. Stop talking like you're some expert. You're no expert. I know everything there is to know about you. Let's see. What else do we have here? Any other good stories? Major League Baseball made some news today. Major League Baseball, they banned a whole bunch of people. The big investigation into sports gambling. We heard about it earlier in the spring training when the biggest star in baseball was caught up in it. But, oh, wait, nope, not the biggest star. His translator. Turns out Shohei didn't do anything wrong because that would be really bad for baseball to have their biggest international and global star fall victim to their gambling rules and restrictions and have to maybe, I don't know, sit out a day or hell, depending on the size of his actions, maybe be banned for life. Thankfully, Major League Baseball, they found the real culprit, his interpreter. His interpreter is the one who was going to take the fall. All I'm saying is he must have been really good friends with that interpreter to allow that interpreter to have that kind of access to that level of Shohei funds that he could just move around at will. Shohei didn't let him have access to his bank account where he's moving money. This is Shohei's money. Shohei got in trouble for gambling, and his translator is going to take the fall. That's fine. Whatever. Major League Baseball did actually ban a whole bunch of people today. Some people got banned for life. Let's see here. Major League Baseball, breaking news. What do we have here? One of these guys is an old White Sox. Old White Sox. That's my team. Says Padres infielder Tucupita Marcano was officially banned from Major League Baseball for life on Tuesday. He's not any good. He's not. The only people who get banned for life are people that aren't any good. You think they're going to ban a 300 hitter for life? No way. They'll be getting calls from Nike lawyers. Like, what are you doing? Padres infielder Tucupita Marcano was officially banned from Major League Baseball for life on Tuesday for betting on Pirates games while he was a member of the team last season. 4 other players, A's pitcher Michael Kelly, Diamondbacks pitcher Andrew Salfrank, Padres pitcher Jay Groom, and Phillies infielder Jose Rodriguez. He was a member of the White Sox last year. They received 1-year suspensions for betting on other teams. Marcano was found to have bet on the Pirates while he was on their injured list. See, look at that. Not even while he was on the field. Like, he was on the field, you're betting on your team. That's bad. You can influence the game. He's not going to influence the game. He's on the injured list. Was he betting on his team to win? I don't know. I don't care. Anyway, they're all gone. One guy got banned for life. That's okay. He'll go to Japan. He'll go play in Japan. He'll make more money. I am watching. There's a terrific 4-part, I want to say, docu-series on Peacock. If you're a baseball guy, if you like baseball, it is called The Bronx Zoo, and it's relatively new. I think it's only been out for about a week or something. It's called The Bronx Zoo, and it is a 3-part, maybe, I don't know, documentary series about the 1990 New York Yankees, and it is fascinating. It is incredible. First of all, why is there a documentary about the 1990 New York Yankees? Because it's like, as the documentary series proclaims, he goes, this is the Yankees. So you've heard all the Yankee stories. This is the one they don't want you to hear. 1990 for the New York Yankees, they were the worst team in baseball, and it was an absolutely scandal-ridden season. There were all kinds of horrible things. A bunch of players got banned for gambling and drugs. But then here's something that I was reminded of, and it was shocking to me. Now, some of you who go back with us to the old Pugs and Kelly show, you may remember this individual. He was a friend of mine for like a little while. Like, he was a dude that we would hook up with when we would go out and, drink with him, and he was kind of fun. It's the story of Mel Hall. Do you guys remember Mel Hall? Now, Mel Hall was a pretty big name baseball player in the 1980s and early 1990s. Mel Hall first was somebody that I came to know. He was a member of the Chicago Cubs in the early 1980s, and he was good. So he was a good baseball player in Chicago. Now, I hated the Cubs. I was a White Sox fan, but I still knew who Mel Hall was. Mel Hall would leave the Cubs. I think he'd go play for Cleveland, and then he'd find his way to the New York Yankees, where he had a number of really productive seasons there with the New York Yankees, although some less than memorable Yankee seasons. So Mel Hall is on the New York Yankees, and I'm watching this documentary about the 1990 New York Yankees. Now, let's fast forward to the early 2000s. Mel Hall apparently lived in North Richland Hills, and Mel Hall used to come out to Bell Bottoms. Kelly and I used to do a weekly bar appearance at Bell Bottoms. And Mel Hall, who lived there, apparently Mel Hall was a fan of the show, and he lived there, so he would come out to Bell Bottoms. And at one point, I got introduced to him, and I think I didn't believe that he was Mel Hall, because I'm like, Mel Hall from the Cubs and blah, blah, blah. But it turned out it was him. I'm not going to be silly about it. And he started hanging out with us, and he and Kelly kind of became friendly, not like, anything, but they got along well. They were friendly. He would come and be on the show and hang out with us. I'm like, hey, baseball legend Mel Hall. He was a funny guy. And then, I don't know, I think he moved somewhere. And so, I don't know, just totally lost track of him. Then a couple of years later, he gets arrested by like Louisville police for like child sex assault or something. Ah, man, it was wild. So anyway, Mel Hall's like in jail for the next 40 years somewhere, and apparently rightfully so. I mean, I don't know. It just shows you don't know a guy. He was a baseball player who was fun to drink with. So we'd put him on the show, and, he wasn't a regular, but he was a guy. He would come out to our things. Hey, everybody, look, Mel Hall's here. Yankee legend, Cub legend, whatever. Now he's in jail for like 40 years. Anyway, that's his current. So this documentary that I'm watching, The Bronx Zoo, which is about the 1990 Yankees, it has Mel Hall on it. And I'm reminded of all of what a difficult player he was. He was a very difficult player. He was like a locker room cancer when he was playing. That's why he moved around. He was talented, but he moved around to a lot of teams. And they do this story arc concerning Mel Hall. Now, they go through all of the problems. There are a lot of problems with the 1990 New York Yankees. You had Dave Winfield and George Steinbrenner. You had some mob bookie gambling guy who said that he was owed 200,000. It was a big scandal with mob money in Steinbrenner. Billy Martin died in a plane or car crash just before the start of the season. Bucky Dent was the manager. They fired him. They brought in Stump Merrill. It was a garbage team. Oh, their big free agent signing pitcher of the season failed a drug test and was banned for a year. The team was a mess. And they focused on all of these individual, awful, crazy stories that all happened in one season for the New York Yankees. And then they got to Mel Hall, my old friend. I didn't know any of this stuff. So in 1990, Mel Hall was like one of the big, there was Don Mattingly. Oh, and by the way, Mattingly was like almost traded and the fans were all angry. Anyway, there was Don Mattingly and there was like Mel Hall. That was pretty much it. The Yankees didn't have a lot of big names. Dave Winfield was there, but he was a problem and he wasn't showing up. So Mel Hall tossed a ball to a girl in the outfield. And this is the story that they tell us on this show. Mel Hall tosses a ball to a girl in the outfield. He's playing right field for the New York Yankees. And as he's running out, he takes the ball, he flips it to her. This girl writes him a note and, sends it to the New York Yankees Mel Hall fan letter or whatever. She says, hey, you tossed me the ball. Me and my friend, we were hanging over and you tossed us the ball. We were wondering if we could get a picture. Well, apparently Mel Hall remembered who he tossed the ball to. And he contacted them back and said, not only will you get a picture, I'll come to you. Where are you? I'll be right there. We'll take pictures. We'll go out to dinner. This girl was 15 years old. This girl was 15 years old. And Mel Hall, playing right field for the New York Yankees, started dating her. Started bringing her to games. She said, this is 1990. Mel Hall is a 30-year-old professional baseball player. His girlfriend is a 15-year-old white girl from New Jersey who is just sitting. Here's how crazy it got. Mel Hall moved into her family house. You think, well, how would her parents allow it? Mel Hall somehow, and they called it parent grooming, because the dad was a big Yankee fan and couldn't believe that he had a Yankee hanging out in his dinner table. Mel Hall was like 30. He's dating their 15-year-old daughter. They're okay with it. Mel Hall moves into their house, moves into the room with their 15-year-old daughter. He's a grown-ass Major League Baseball player, and he's living in their house. And they move out of their bedroom. The mom and dad move out of their bedroom. They give the master bedroom in this house to Mel Hall and their 15-year-old daughter. Mel Hall, right fielder for the New York Yankees, takes her to her junior prom. And this is the real insanity. You people, when I tell you, why is Gen X the way we are? There were no rules. There were things we knew were wrong, and they were just right in front of us, and everybody just went, yeah, so what? You going to say something? I'm not going to say something. Everything was ignored. There were no rules. They took a picture at the prom. Mel Hall and his girlfriend took a picture at prom, his 15-year-old girlfriend. The New York Yankees used that prom picture of Mel and his underage girlfriend at a high school prom in their 1990 official program. It's a 30-year-old man with a 15-year-old girlfriend. And the Yankees are like, isn't this a cute picture of him and his underage girlfriend at prom? Let's put it front page of the Yankee program for 1990. Wait, you think I'm kidding? I bet we can find this picture. Hold on. Mel Hall. I'm just going to do Mel Hall prom picture. He is living at her house. Yeah, there it is. There it is. All right, here he is. Why are they saving the picture? Why are they? Mel Hall. All right, well, here's his prom picture. This was the one that was in the... And why did they scramble her face? They got her, Bing has scrambled her face because I guess she's underage. This is a prom picture. But on this documentary, they don't scramble her face. They don't scramble her face on the documentary because they talk to her now. She's like 40. She's like, yeah, that was really weird when we look back on that. Here you go. This was in the Yankee program. That's Mel Hall and his 16-year-old girlfriend at junior prom, 1990. Oh, and by the way, here's what this documentary series is so fascinating because they talk to all these beat writers. They speak with all of these Yankee beat writers, people who are big names in baseball now, who were just, back then a young beat writer. And they're all like, yeah, Mel had a 15-year-old girlfriend. Never really thought to write about it. What? Never really. This was happening in front of you. And all of these reporters now are like, we probably should have said something. We probably should have made a deal about it. They didn't. That was never like a big problem in his career. Now he got arrested years later in Louisville for, diddling up some kids. But holy shit, what a weird story that is. What the parents moved out of their master bedroom to accommodate New York Yankee right fielder Mel Hall and their 15-year-old girlfriend. That is crazy. By the way, I feel comfortable saying this because the girl, what is this, 1990? So she was 17. So she's 1993. She's like she was really good looking. Like she was a really good looking girl in 1990. And being somebody who was age appropriate at that time, I'm looking at her and I'm like, okay, well, I can see why you saw her in the stands. She would have been the hottest girl in my high school. Like I could see why, Mel. But what is that about? He's Mel Hall. He's right fielder for the New York Yankees. He's messing around with a 16-year-old, a 17-year-old girl. See, there's something wrong with him. That's a problem. He can't control that because I promise you, he could have just gone to Studio 54 and taken a supermodel home. He was a right fielder for the Yankees in 1990. Instead, he's making somebody's parents move out of their master bedroom so that he could have a shorter walk to the bathroom. Anyway, there you have it. He's in jail now. It's really good. It's on Peacock. It's called The Bronx Zoo. It is a 3-part series about that magnificent 1990 New York Yankees season where everything that could go wrong did go wrong. What else do we have here? How about this? Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper has climbing the ranks. Do you like Dr. Pepper? I like Dr. Pepper, but nobody likes Dr. Pepper quite like people here in Texas. My whole life growing up, Dr. Pepper was just like there were colas, like there was a cola war. Coke, and Pepsi, and RC, Jolt. Those are colas. Those have a flavor. Then you got the lemon lime wars. You got Sprite, 7-Up, Square. Dr. Pepper was like its own thing. Dr. Pepper was almost like root beer. Like root beer is its own thing, but there's a whole bunch of competing root beer flavors. Dr. Pepper is just like its own. And what is Dr. Pepper? There was like, it's prunes. Okay, it's great. Whatever it is, it tastes great. Dr. Pepper is now the number 2 best-selling soda pop in America. That's right. Number 1 is still Coke. It's never not going to be Coke. But Dr. Pepper has now passed up Pepsi. Pepsi is now number 3. Dr. Pepper ties for second. It ties for second. Oh, look at this. Dr. Pepper, I'm sorry. Dr. Pepper did not, in fact, surpass Pepsi. Dr. Pepper is now tied with Pepsi for second most popular soda in the United States, but still quite the accomplishment for little old Dr. Pepper. Popular Texas soda, Dr. Pepper, is coming for the top dog of soft drinks. This according to the Wall Street Journal. Dr. Pepper is now tied for second most popular drink in America. It is tied with Pepsi. Here's why. Dr. Pepper has surpassed Diet Coke. And Sprite. Here's what's surprising to me about that. Like, okay, so like in the cola game, there's a clear number 1. There's a Michael Jordan, there's a Mike Tyson, there's a GOAT, there's a Tiger Woods, and that's Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola in the cola game is that. Pepsi's there. Pepsi's great. Pepsi's LeBron. Pepsi's Kobe. Pepsi's, Arnold Palmer, whoever you want to do. But, again, Coca-Cola is Tiger, Michael, Muhammad Ali. So in the lemon lime world, I always thought 7-Up was the king. I always thought that 7-Up was like the top flight A-list number one pick of lemon limes. Apparently not. Apparently it's Sprite. Where does Squirt factor in here? More importantly, can I tell you about a Southern soft drink that my son and I recently discovered? And I know that, like, just because we recently discovered it doesn't mean that it hasn't been around for 100 years, because it has been around for 100 years. And I've seen it. I've seen it for my entire time that I've been here in Texas. I've seen it in stores. I've never drank it. I've never tasted it, never gone near it. It always just looked like a dumb knockoff, stupid soda that I didn't need in my life. My son and I have recently discovered this soda, and guess what? It is amazing. How come you guys never told me about Big Red soda before? Big Red. I always thought it was like fruit punch. I always looked at it and I'm like, what is that, fruit punch? Nobody told me that it was like red cream soda. Nobody told me that it was Big Red. I like Big Red. I don't know where Big Red is here in the charts, but it's definitely not number one or number two, because number one is Coca-Cola, number two is Pepsi and Dr. Pepper. The Wall Street Journal has reported the impact of Dr. Pepper's enhanced marketing for its unique flavors, saying this has a lot to do with it. Dr. Pepper's got a lot of crazy flavors now. Houston, they claim Dr. Pepper's from Houston. Collaborations for Dr. Pepper. Dr. Pepper, Bluebell, and Whataburger collaborations have boosted sales. Last year, Texas iconic ice cream company Bluebell and Dr. Pepper collaborated to create an ice cream flavor. The two combined vanilla and Dr. Pepper flavored sherbet to create the Dr. Pepper float. Other Dr. Pepper collaborations include the Dr. Pepper Shake from Whataburger. Whataburger was a Texas company and is now owned by an investment firm in Chicago. So if that's the case, can we get a Whataburger in Chicago? Can we get maybe a Whataburger and Water Tower Place? Give me a Whataburger in Water Tower Place. That'd be great. I'd love to have a Whataburger down there. And also a Waffle House. By the way, I want to open a Waffle House in the Chicago metro area, and I know the perfect spot for it. A Waffle House would kill. You would open one Waffle House in the Chicago area, and you would have a line for weeks, because everybody knows how good the Waffle House is, and we, for some reason, do not have them in the Chicago area. Barney says, nobody told me about Big Red because I'm white. Is that it? Is it an African-American drink? Because it is delicious. It is delicious. My son said it was bubblegum. He's like, this is bubblegum soda. I go, I think it's cream soda. But then I couldn't get bubblegum out of my mind. I'm like, this is like a bubblegum and cream soda. Whatever this is, it's delicious. All right, what else do we got here? Guys, that's about it. I think that's it. We are done with today's show. Whoa, look at that. Another one in the book, so we appreciate you. Day 2 of Pledge Week is over. I don't know how we did today. Hopefully we did better than we did yesterday. We did not do great yesterday, but we will be okay. I'd like to thank once again our executive producer of today's show. It was the lovely Jennifer S. If you are the big tipper of today, you will be tomorrow's executive producer. That's how it works. We are in Pledge Week, so we do have a number in mind. We started today's show needing $290 by end of show on Friday. Still got a couple of days. I'm still optimistic. I'm still in a good mood. I love you guys. We'll see you back here again tomorrow. Hope you are well. Anything else I need to say? No, that's it. Bye, everybody. You're the best. Thanks, Jennifer S., today's executive producer.